So let's get to it. So let's first talk about supplements and the word supplement, right? And so supplements are meant to supplement an already relatively healthy diet. But I kind of like to look at supplements first as a way to fill in some gaps that we may have in someone's diet so that we can get them to a better nutritional status. Um, so one that's actually really interesting. So I think we should talk about the main ones right away, like multivitamins, fish oil. I think are two good ones to kick off with because they're extremely popular. And so there's actually a couple different studies done. One was a prison study. That cool thing about prison studies, right, is you can feed them whatever you want.
And it's so controlled. It is the most controlled study that you can do. And you can literally have people on it and people not on it because you tell them what to do.
Exactly. And they can't go anywhere. They have to stay in your prison. And so it's kind of cool. It's a cool way to do nutritional studies.
But they're in prison.
So yeah, right. So we have that. They have that going for them. All right. So they basically the only thing they did differently was they gave a group of people. Actually, I don't think it was a group. I think they did it across the entire board. They gave everyone a multivitamin fish oil. That's all they gave them, in addition to their normal food. And they saw, I don't know what the terms are, but they basically saw violence go down in the facility, which is pretty crazy. And they had a couple other factors that went down as well. But the only thing was they gave them a multivitamin and they gave them fish oil. And so that's all they did different, which is pretty crazy, right? So I guess it makes sense if our body is getting what it needs.
I'm pretty sure in this study they tell you that they're on a standard prison diet, and they don't really explain deeper on what their diet is.
I will try and find the study. I will try and find the study so I can talk about it a little more intelligently. But that was one that came to mind, and then there was another one that they did with adolescents, I believe. And they saw very similar results of adding a multivitamin fish oil to their diet. They achieved a number of different outcomes. And really what most likely what's happening, right, is there's nothing magic about the multivitamin or anything magic about fish oil. It's just those were gaps that they were able to fill in their diet with a multivitamin with fish oil. Could they have gotten it from food and all those other sources? Absolutely, they could have. But there was deficiencies, which then they could basically fill up with this multivitamin with fish oil, which then allowed their body to work normal and their brain to work the way it's supposed to. And then we don't act maybe as much like idiots, but I don't know. So
I used to 100% be on camp, why take a multivitamin? You can get it all from food. It's just another supplement to add to someone's thing. And in the last probably 2 years, maybe a little longer, I kind of transitioned to everyone probably needs to be on a multivitamin or a prenatal. And any woman in childbearing age, basically, if you have a cycle, needs to be on a prenatal. And that doesn't matter if you're not trying to have kids or not. Just what your body needs at that moment in your life is different than what you need otherwise. But I think multivitamin and a prenatal. Our food does not have the nutrition quality that used to have decades ago. So I think there are minerals and vitamins that we just aren't getting at a high enough rate, even if we have a good quality diet. Really, supplements are about supplementing your diet and not I'm going to use a bunch of supplements so I never have to eat a vegetable. It's not really what they're there for. Right. So I think that is kind of a big thing. I used to be on team no, why on earth would I supplement someone this? To now everyone should probably take one because we're missing things, and just even a little added boost can be extremely helpful to our overall well-being.
I would agree with you 100%. And I just looked up a few. This wasn't the actual prison study I was thinking about, but Dutch prisoners enrolled in dietary supplement aggression study. So basically what they're doing in a lot of Dutch prisons now is they are giving everyone omega-3 supplement and vitamins and minerals because they have found a decrease in behavior or decrease in aggressive behavior when those things are supplemented into their diet. So really interesting, right? And so I would agree with you on probably most everyone having a multivitamin, and like fish oil is another one that I'm kind of like most everybody, unless you're eating fish on a regular basis, where like I personally don't. So, and so like I take an omega-3 supplement just because I'm not eating fish all the time.
And I take a fish oil as well. And I eat substantially more fish down here than I do at home, because anytime we go to eat here, I am eating seafood. And like fresh caught, like it's not coming from a cage or anything. Like they go and catch it and they bring it in and you eat it fresh. But I see huge cognitive performance levels when I take a fish oil and when I don't.
Which makes sense because EPA, DHA like affects the brain.
Exactly.
Right. And so
go ahead.
I got another story. So if you got something to say, I'm going to
talk. Well, I was going to go into the Washington Post article where they posted about supplement quality. So,
well, let's hold that thought for a second. I'm going to do one more anecdotal story. So, as a young child, I know this is going to be hard to believe, but as a young child, I had a temper. Like I had aggression issues to an extent. When I was a younger child, like I hated to lose, but that really hasn't changed much. But like it was to the point where there were holes in our garage wall because I got so angry I would kick my rollerblades through the wall, right? So like probably slightly more aggressive than what we would call normal behavior. And at one point, my mom put me on blue-green algae pills. And so I did not actually connect the dots until very recently, probably within the last couple of years. I started looking up algae and what does algae give you? What does algae provide for you? And it ends up being this like omega-3 fatty acids and its effect on the brain. And after I started taking those pills, quote unquote, my friends called them rabbit pills because they're little and green. After I started taking those pills, my behavior changed fairly significantly from an aggression standpoint. And so when I started doing some research, basically algae is a good source of like kind of plant-based omega-3s. And so, yeah, it's super interesting. And like Steven just wrote in too, they saw dramatic mood changes with one of their kids by supplementing with fish oil. Versus kind of the recommended ADD type meds. Super interesting, right? So like I definitely think fish omega-3s, it's an essential fatty acid, meaning we have to get it from our diet. We can't manufacture this inside our body. And so it's either eat fish on a regular basis and then make sure it's clean fish so that we're not overloading our body with mercury and PCBs and other toxins, things that are show up in our waterways, right? So there is the Environmental Working Group has a really cool fish guide as well. If you just type in EWG fish guide into Google and it'll take you and it'll show you like what, I actually have an app on my phone where it'll tell me like what fish have high levels of mercury or sustainably farmed or sustainably caught.
EWG is so awesome.
They're super
so
cool
many
group.
things you can do on their website.
Yeah. So Environmental Working Group, check it out, fish. It'll show you kind of what fish you should be, if you are eating fish regularly, which ones should you be doing more of? The best way to think about it is the smaller the fish is, the less mercury, PCB, toxin buildup it's going to have. The bigger the fish is, the more it's going to have. So sardines, very low. Swordfish, very high. Think about where they're at in the food chain, right? And so fish oil is a big one.